How did you end up wandering onto the bus of Midnight Cowboy before you even got a career? You're like an uncredited background player there. Like that's just like where did it sort of begin?
Who was the director of that?
John Schlesinger.
John Schlesinger. Hi, John. I met him. They brought me in. I was doing theater. I was doing theater all over. I was up in Stockbridge, Mass. Elaine May, doing a play with Elaine May and Michael Nichols. People were becoming aware of me from my stage work and being around. And then someone came.
What kind of plays? Just out of curiosity. What kind of plays were you doing? Just out of curiosity.
Romantic leads. Blow out your nose. And somebody came to me and they had that thing, and I went down. They were shooting John Voight going up and down along. You know, he just got to New York or something, and I met Schlesinger, and Schlesinger didn't know who I was. I didn't know nobody, and Schlesinger's like, oh yes, he's wonderful. But can you act? You know, that's what he asked me. Anyway, but it's you know, it just started that way.
Well, we're going to roll a clip of one of my favorite early performances in your career from Arthur Penn's Alice's Restaurant. Roots of being a villain. What is your approach to playing these kind of?
Well, Bruce is not wrong on that. The thing is, the villain is not, you know, that twisted mustache, the whole thing. He's the nicest guy in the world. He's taking the kids to church school on Sunday. You know, he's doing all these other things. You know, it's just taking out the garbage, whatever it is. And then occasionally he has to go out and go, and then he goes back, and you know, the whole thing. But the nicer you can make the guy. Early on, I learned that in acting school or something. That the worse the person was, the more fun it was to play 180 degrees away from them.
Yeah, you always have this wonderful grin right before you're about to like. There's a great dichotomy between clearly what you're thinking, the kind of machinations, and you kind of on the surface will always be sort of oozing charm. And I'm thinking in like Straight Time, for example, when he's playing with them, or a really good one is Brubaker as well, where he's very. I think Paul and Cale sort of cited you in particular as exactly what you were saying, that the sort of great American villain has a smile. Do you take any of that approach? Or?
I found out early on that when the bars closed on Saturday night, the women all said, "Screw them, let them go home alone." It didn't work there. I mean, I couldn't pull that off. But I don't even know what the question was. But
it was just about playing these kind of characters with a smile. Finding a second level to things.
You know, I play retarded people because probably I've got an 81 IQ. You know, there may be a reason for all that. I remember looking at the old English films, you know, or watching them, and you didn't know who these people were. You know, they were fishmongers, they were this or that. And that night down in the Piccadilly Square someplace, they were playing Hamlet. You know, you didn't know who all these, you know, the range was always enormous. And that's what I kind of worked towards. I'd say, what can I get away with? What can I do? And when I started out, I mentioned that I couldn't do Shaw and Shakespeare. When I started out and trying to figure it out, I said, what can I do that no one else is doing? I said, here we got this tough little kid from Swanton, Vermont, who loves to punch people, loves to drink, loves to get hit, you know, does all this stuff. I said, what can I do? I said, no one else can put him up on stage, and that's what I'm talking about. I said, if I can put Mike Walsh up on stage, this guy from a little rural area in Vermont, I said, if I can get him up there, that might work. And that's what I did, and that's what happened with the film. People saw me on stage. Marion Doherty was a big casting woman in New York, and other people, and they started using me, you know, testing me out. And film technique can be learned. If one learns how to act, acting has to be learned. It's a process. No one falls off the turnip truck and does Hamlet. You know, there's a lot of study and work that goes on into it. Mercifully, I was able to bomb some of it with Budweiser, but it helped along.
Well, you know, it's funny you say putting yourself on stage. One of the things you mentioned earlier was that your parents were customs officers, and you've played a lot of bureaucrats, actually. Like in Straight Time, you're a parole officer, or in Brubaker, you're kind of the guy working with the government office and like contracts and stuff. Is that something you kind of like could pull from your memories of how those people behave?
You know, Straight Time with Dustin was it was Dustin's film. Ulu Grossbart came in. Dustin was initially going to direct it, and then he realized he couldn't after trying to shoot for a week. And he brought in Ulu Grossbart, who was a good New York director. And Dustin, the character. See, my father was a customs officer. It's a miserable job. You know, you gotta be nice to these people all day long and the whole thing. You try to be civil and the whole thing. And there's my character, and Dustin had more or less slanted it. But I tried to make it, I tried to make him, this is a guy with, you should have 30 cases and you got 70. It's overworked. And, you suddenly, Dustin, you look down there and there's a roach of marijuana clip or something. You say, what the hell's that? And he's, coming in, the guy's a con. They're all going to con you. And basically it's a negative. Policemen, cops have trouble dealing with civilians. They spend all their time going to bars with other cops. It becomes a negative outlook on life because you're looking for the bad, and the parole officers the same way. Cops are constantly getting in trouble, beating up other cops. They just get drinking, and then all hell breaks loose. But and my man with Straight Time was I was just trying to do a job, and the movie was slanted the other way. I didn't realize it till it came out how bad they had made me look like a real asshole, and I was just trying to play a nice guy, trying to do a job.
I think we should really roll that clip right now, see what we're talking about. Let's play the scene where he finds the roach.